It's rare that the president and Congress step in to keep a strike from happening, but in this case, the Secretary of Transportation tells me the nation's economy was on the line.
The president is very proudly pro-union, pro-labor.
Yet Secretary Pete Buttigieg tells me when it comes to a rail strike,
we're in a situation where the most important thing facing the national economy this week, really, is the continued operation of our freight rail systems. And I think everybody acting here, whether we're talking about the administration or Congress, has done so reluctantly. But what we're talking about is enacting an agreement, a tentative agreement, that was reached at the bargaining table where company leaders and union leaders all gave in some way.
Last week, 8 rail unions ratified the agreement on pay, health, and benefits, but 4 unions rejected it. Officials say a strike could have cost the nation $2 billion a day and crippled holiday shopping. So the House and Senate voted to force the contract through.
The joint resolution is passed.
Yet an additional bill to give rail workers more sick time did not pass.
I'm not in favor of shoving Joe Biden's agreement down the workers' throat when the workers have voted not to accept it.
I personally will vote to affirm the deal that was negotiated and endorsed by the President's Emergency Board.
The president said he'd support future legislation to expand sick leave, not only for rail employees, but for all workers across the nation. In Washington, I'm Jamie Bittner. Senator Josh Hawley has taken direct aim at you. I want to tell you one tweet that he tweeted out today. Didn't Mayor Pete take 45 days off during a supply chain crisis, but railroad workers can't get more than 1 sick day? What is your response to critics like Mr. Hawley?
I don't know where Mr. Hawley was when we were trying to get paid leave for all Americans, but what I know is that we have repeatedly faced unified Republican opposition to our proposals to enact paid leave for everybody, whether you work at a railroad, whether you work in the federal government, or whether you work at Burger King. And we're going to continue to press for that. That has not been the position of congressional Republicans, but if that means he's changed his mind or they've changed their minds, they're ready to work with us on getting paid leave for every single American. And that's great news, and I hope he'll put his money where his mouth is.
President Joe Biden has painted himself as a pro-union president. What kind of message does this send that Congress is stepping in on these negotiations?
Well, the president is very proudly pro-union, pro-labor. Now, we're in a situation where the most important thing facing the national economy this week, really, is the continued operation of our freight rail systems. And I think everybody acting here, whether we're talking about the administration or Congress, has done so reluctantly. But what we're talking about is enacting an agreement, a tentative agreement, that was reached at the bargaining table where company leaders and union leaders all gave in some way in order to get to an overlapping agreement about how to move forward. That includes a 24% pay increase for workers that reflects how important their work is, and a number of other provisions around quality of life and benefits. There's more work to do. There's no question about that. Look, this is an administration that believes in paid leave, not just for railroad workers, but for every worker in America. We've been pushing that from the beginning and are going to continue to press proposals to do that. But right here, in the context of these negotiations, what's advancing in Congress is a way to make sure that those gains that workers won at the bargaining table, like the pay increases, happen, and critically, that our transportation systems continue functioning instead of the kind of mass shutdowns and layoffs that we would have begun seeing next week if a strike had been allowed to happen.